Welcome to Game Changers Silicon Valley, a show about today's emerging innovations that may be the game changers of tomorrow. The growth of entrepreneurship is becoming a big and vital part of the country's economic engine. Venture and angel capital has continued to grow and support innovation. But what about those people who did not find a source of external investment? There are many viable businesses and many viable opportunities that simply do not fit the profile for private investment, but they represent viable and concrete business opportunities. What happens to those people and their dreams? My name is Jim Condor. Welcome to Game Changers Silicon Valley. This segment will address the resources available to help individuals develop a business idea, validate the market, the need, form the company, build a product, and be in control of your destiny. My guests are John Edwards, a counselor at SCORE, and Chuck Fuery, who used the SCORE resources and mentoring to build his company. John and Chuck, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Nice to be here.
John, let me start with you. Give us an overview of what is SCORE all about.
Okay, SCORE is a national organization of volunteers. We're business executives, and we give back to the community our management experiences. And we have experiences in all areas, from retail, high tech, software, all of those. We give those as counseling and consulting for free to anyone who comes to us. There are no barriers. We have helped people who are homeless. We've helped people who have lots of money. But what we do is help those people that you were talking about that can't get the funding of the angels.
It's an interesting idea. It looks like you're the provider of an entry into the great American dream, aside from owning your own home, to owning your own business.
And also to contribute to the community, because one of the wonderful things is we deal with people in the community to build the community. Small business, which is 100 million in gross or less, is more than 50% of the gross national product. Mm-hmm. And they do 90+% of the job.
I understand small business is a huge component. It's where most of the innovation comes from, and it's where most of the job growth comes from.
Yes.
Is that correct?
The big ones shut them down and take them off, but we help build.
Right. Chuck, I just want to get a quick update from you. You are a recipient and a beneficiary of the SCORE program. Maybe you can just tell us a little bit about your company and how you came into the program.
Thank you, Jim. I'd be happy to. In the late 80s, after I graduated in a different field, I have a doctorate in another field from Stanford. I knew nothing about business when I got into business. That's a story in and of itself. So I was searching for opportunities and ways to educate myself in business quickly without getting an MBA or something else. So I saw an ad about SCORE. I went down to San Jose and took a seminar from the SCORE people. I was so taken back by how thorough and wonderfully educational it was. And I had taught at Cal for 10 years and was a teacher myself, so I knew quality when I saw it. That ultimately I ended up becoming an ACE member or another counselor because it made a profound impact in my own business.
You did. What is your business then?
Yeah, I'm in the real estate business, and Stanford Property and Finance is the name of my company in Palo Alto. And we do some unusual things with real estate, a little bit out of the box. We like to take situations in real estate that are in need, people that need real estate services, and work with them to create good investments and good sales for them.
Very good. John, I'm very interested in this area of helping people who don't qualify for funding. I know a number of people who are very energetic. They just didn't have the right profile. They might have it in 3 or 4 years, but they need to get started today, and they have the energy and the commitment to get started today. You and I talked a little bit ahead of time offline, and as you explained, there are 3 main groups that you engage with. There's I'll just call it the 20s to 30s. There's that 30s to 45 group, maybe 50, and then there's the 55 plus group. Let's start with the 55 plus group and work backwards a little bit and let you tell us about that one.
Okay. We actually know that group in terms of entrepreneurs is growing. Mm-hmm. That group has people who are re-entering the workplace, or it has older people who have either lost their job, they've retired, and they need to do something. That group has tremendous skills, and what they need is guidance in how to do the business.
Is it a capital, does it require a certain amount of capital from them, and do they have those capital resources?
What we say is you have to have enough money, but not too much. I have counseled people that got too much, and when they get too much, they think they're wealthy and they don't use it. One company was supposed to have the money for 18 months. They spent it in 12, and you know what happens to the company. So they have the resources because the older people in general have either their homes, equity. There was a lady that started a UPS store. It's one of our success stories. She got a second on her home. That was the capital to do a franchise. She paid off the franchise, made a very profitable business, and I worked with her from opening to when she sold her business, and a very nice profit. So yes, the older people generally have enough money.
They have enough money to get started. They have the experience they need, some tools, some understanding of how to get through the government regulations. Any other things that you find are perhaps obstacles or fearsome, issues of fear or unknown that you've encountered in this group?
This group is really concerned because they aren't going to get a steady paycheck.
Yeah.
So they really have to understand budgeting. Most of them have lived through very good times, and so they don't understand cash flow. That helps them. That tells them how much money they need, and then they need to watch it. That's hard sometimes because they'd like to do the work. That's what I find with entrepreneurs. They want to do the work rather than run the business.
I see. Interesting. John, Chuck, were you in that area of, you weren't in the 55, but you're in the mid-range, is that correct?
Well, it's fascinating to listen to the discussion because I met John in 1993, and we counseled together for a while, but I have to tell you that I went back to being a client and having myself counseled primarily by John and a couple of others, because, you know, a business, of course, as we know, is kind of like the development of a human being. Your business develops, you have early startup, then you have certain number of challenges there, then you have recently, then you have your midlife, and then you have your maturation process. Recently I met with John. I meet with him every 2 or 3 weeks. I'm a big admirer of John's work and also SCORE's work, but also just really believe in mentoring and believe that at every stage of our development as human beings and our development as business owners, we can really gain a lot from that resource.
That's a critical point. I think that all the all the classes and training will help, but it's the mentoring that puts the personal touch on it. And I think everybody does benefit from a mentor relationship, no matter where you are in life. You're always encountering something like this show here. I have some mentors that help with this show here because I knew very little about it. And some of the people that are in the control room right now who have been fantastic mentors for me to get through this show.
Exactly.
The same thing. So you benefited both from the training classes and what have you, the resources, as well as the mentoring. It sounds like the mentoring was actually the key issue.
I think it was, the mentoring. I think the classes are a great foundation, and they spur a lot of curiosity and further research and reading into business. But to having the mentorship where you can bring in a problem, a specific problem or a specific concern that you have, and John can say, or any of the counselors can say, okay, well, why don't you look at it from this fresh perspective? It's invaluable.
The mentoring goes through all 3 groups, and we'll talk about
yes,
in a minute.
Mentoring goes through all 3 groups, and what Chuck is saying is there's all sorts of stages. So there are many ways that you can help. We get together and we have a topic. In addition to that, when I mentor, I basically say, are there any crises? Because crises always come. They are not planned. But those are where you can do the mentoring, and as you develop the relationship, the trust develops, and then it turns into a real friendship, business, etc.
That's great. Tell me about the mid group, the 30, 35 to 45 or 50 group.
A lot of that group is where women come in. They come into that group out of having started a family, and they are now going into business because of the flexibility. And that group generally has, if they're married, they have somebody that can support them. They generally have some funding that they can do. And what they're really interested in is the flexibility of being an entrepreneur and being able to be their own boss and to come back in so that they don't have to come in at a low level. The 45 plus group in terms of entrepreneurship percentage is the one that's been increasing over the last 10 years. But this group is a very important group because they're very highly skilled people, mostly women, but highly skilled.
Great. Chuck, I wanted to ask you, after going through the program and experiencing a high level of success, you then became a mentor and a counselor. Is that correct?
I did. Actually, the chronology was a little bit different than that.
Okay.
I immediately felt an attraction to become a mentor because I saw the value of it. And so that's what I did after, things got very busy about 10 years beyond when I started mentoring. So at that point, I tapered off the mentoring a little bit. But I've always been a client of SCORE throughout.
When you did that, when you entered the mentoring program,
Yes.
did you go through a training program?
I did indeed.
With John, I assume?
We have a very extensive program.
Yeah.
About 6 months of programming in order to understand how to counsel, how to mentor, making sure we take all the classes so we know what we're telling people. The program is very rigorous, and many people that want originally to join SCORE don't finish because we ask that they are dedicated and knowledgeable and professional.
Well, that's very good. So I want to touch on the young people now, the ones coming out of school, or roughly 20 to 35, we'll say.
Yeah.
And how are they engaging with us?
They are wonderful. They are better than going to college to recruit because they come in with all these new ideas, all of the energy. They're the ones that are with all of the mobile devices. They're the ones that really have the drive. And what they really like, and why it works so well, is they really like the experience so they can get help. And we do them, many of them are even in college at the time.
Chuck, let me ask you, based on your experience both as a participant in the program and as a counselor, what are some of the biggest misconceptions? When you meet somebody as an advisor or a counselor, what are the typical misconceptions? Let me ask you about that.
I think the initial misconception, which I had, I must confess, when I first started the program, was if it's free, it must not be that good quality. And that is completely wrong. SCORE counselors have amazing resumes when you look at them. I know John's resume very well and other counselors that I've worked with. And so that's the first misconception, I would say, that was critical for me to understand. Another misconception, I think, would have to do with the fact that as people, sometimes we have our pride and we say, I really know pretty much what I need. I don't really need someone else to tell me what to do. And so there's a certain humility that has to take place, I think, to pick up the receiver and say, okay, I would like to explore some ideas with someone else who has probably more experience than I have. And when you talk with somebody who's been in an industry that you want to be in, who's had 30 years or 40 years in that industry, and you might have had 5 or 10, it's a revelation.
Right. John, I'd like you to take a moment, let our audience know how they can contact SCORE.
What we would like them to do is go online. They can immediately sign up for a course or sign up for counseling. They can call our office and we will help them there. Our office is open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Well, John, I definitely want to thank you very much for your time and coming by and sharing the experiences and information about SCORE. And Chuck, great to have you as a walking testimonial of a person who went through the program and joined the program. So thank you both for joining us tonight, and we look forward to hearing about your continued successes.
Thank you very much.
This is Jim Connor. I'd like to thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Game Changers Silicon Valley. Each week we'll address an area of innovation that may emerge as a game changer tomorrow. We look forward to your continued interest and participation in upcoming shows. Good night now.